So with this exercise, you will train your hand to be more precise when drawing, and it's the first step to copying more complicated shapes. So let's start with the simple shapes first. We're going to draw a square. So if you want to draw an accurate square, this distance needs to be the same as this distance and as this. So these lines will all need to be the same size. So now let's copy this square, the same size, next to it. Oh, see, it can be a bit wider. So try to draw it the same size and also the same distance in between them. So you see that the distance isn't that big, so check this distance like around here. So now let's draw another square. And I can, if I look at this line, see that this line needs to be a bit lower, and this one as well. So you can compare with the first square. Think about a line, an imaginary line. So this one needs to be lower. So I started to draw this one a bit smaller. So this is correct, but then I see that it needs to be a bit bigger. This looks better. Check the distance again. So if you're having a hard time seeing that, you can check it like this and check the same for the other square. Just see if you're accurate, if you don't see it by eye. And the more you practice this, the more you train this, so imagine this line, you will be able to see it. So let's do the same with triangles. With triangles, you have 3 the same length of lines. So 1 straight and 2 angled. And this point is like in the middle of this, of the straight line, the straight horizontal line. So let's draw the distance a bit further. You can make this as challenging as you need to. So I'm looking at this first line and I'm trying to copy the length that I see of this line. Then you can go up and imagine this, how high is it? And then think of the point in between. And then you can connect the angles. So try to make it easier for yourself. Maybe a bit higher. So go over it as many times as you need to. It looks like I can even go a bit lower. And it looks like I didn't draw this straight. So correct. Train your eye to see things, see lines, see distances. Check this distance. Make a point, so this is like around here, and then check the line, starting with the first one. So how wide is that? Point, like imagine this line, and then connect, and then see if that looks like the same size. You see, even starting with drawing simple shapes, remember that if you think this is boring and it's easy for you, well, that's good. That's a good thing, because then you're already trained, your eye and your hand. You're already trained enough. But if it's still challenging, then you know that you can practice some more with these exercises, and you don't have to finish them all in one day. You can just simply practice with drawing some shapes the same size, call it a day, and then tomorrow continue with another exercise or another shape. We're also going to do this with circles. So I see that my triangles go a bit like higher. If I need to draw a straight line, let's see. You see the triangle got a bit higher and higher. So I see that, I know that I made that mistake, and then I could erase and start again. Draw this one a bit lower, this one a bit lower, this one a bit lower, so that I have them on the same line. as long as you know what you did wrong and you see things you can correct. This is just an exercise, but if this was my sketch, I would take my eraser, erase this, and try it again. Or these ones are good, but then these two would draw them a bit lower. So remember, this is just an exercise. You don't have to use your eraser, you don't have to use your ruler to measure everything. This is just learning to train your eye to see distances and see the lengths and sizes and compare them. So with the circles, we're just going to draw a small circle. And if your circle doesn't look round, check. If it's more like an oval, practice with your circles again. And now let's look at the distance. I want to draw it like a bit around here. So also check to see like you have it the same size. You can imagine here a line and here a line. I'll try to draw it the same size. And then again, the distance and the width. How high? Like around here. And check to see if you're right. And again, about the same size. Another one, the same distance. Looks like this one is just a bit further, so it should be a bit more here. How high? Imagine a line, imagine a line. This one maybe a bit higher. This one looks just a bit bigger. So I think I have 4 circles about the same size now, and then the same distance. This is also a great exercise to be more precise. And that's really important, again, if you want to draw more complicated things. So now we're going to draw shapes again, but then we're going to start with a small shape and then draw them bigger and bigger. So let's start with the squares, a small square. And then I want to draw a bigger square. Let's maybe draw it twice as big, like this. So this line needs to be twice as big, or around twice as big. And then this line, so like this. And if you're going to draw a square, you need these sides to be the same and these. So let's draw it. This line, like, imagine this is half. So this distance, and then this is half, and then that distance twice. Try to look at it that way. So this, here it's easy because you can compare it like this. So this, and then twice. Now you have a square. That's bigger. Now again, and I'm keeping this distance the same, trying to, while I'm eyeballing it. Okay, so looking at this distance, and then that would be half, so twice. And this. So this is half, and then twice as high, like this. Now another one to draw it even bigger, so the same distance like this, and then this would be half, and now like around here, so this is half. Oh, a bit too far, but this doesn't look right, so I think I drew this too far. You see that it looks more like a rectangle now, so I know that I need to correct somewhere. So either this is just a bit too high, or this is 2, so 1. Yeah, this needs to be a bit more like this. Maybe even further to make it more like a rectangle. You can also start with reference points, like half, and then half to check. So this looks better. So this square would need to fit into this, like a quarter of this. So the bigger the shape, it's a bit more difficult, and then you can try to imagine like, well, guidelines or reference points. So take half, see it that way. When I had the line here, I immediately saw that it was becoming more like a rectangle. So then you will know that it would need to be a bit lower here and a bit wider on this side. Check if your square is accurate. Correct if you need to. Let's do this with triangles. Let's see, I think I need more space if I'm going to draw the bigger triangle here. So the small, and I'm not going to draw it twice as big every time. I'm just going to try to draw it bigger with the same distance. So just a bit bigger every time. I'm just drawing this line a bit bigger, and then imagine half. Try to make these lines the same length. Then you have a triangle, a correct triangle. Now the same distance, but then a bit bigger. Imagine half. So this would need to be the same length. And then you have a triangle. Again, same distance, but bigger. Imagine this length. Is it about the same? Does it need to be a bit higher? But keep this point in the middle, then your triangle will be good. And all of these lines will need to be the same length and about the same length. Again, you don't have to measure, but you can check or eyeball it. Distance. Bit bigger. Let's see, like half. Is this line around the same size? Maybe a bit higher. And then connect. So if you drew it too high, and you draw the angle like this, then you can already see that it becomes too pointy here in comparison to here. Then you know that you drew the point too high, and then this distance of line is longer than that. So now let's do this with the circles, but I want to draw something else here, so I'm going to draw the circles here, starting with the smaller circle. So now instead of going like horizontal, I'm going to go vertically. So start with a smaller circle, and then draw it a bit bigger. Same distance, bigger, same distance, but even more, even bigger. The bigger the circles, the more challenging, but oh, I see that this distance can be a bit more like this. More challenging, but try to train your hand to be able to draw a circle. Distance like this. So you see that I'm starting light, and I know that it's difficult to draw a circle at once, so I keep on going over until I'm satisfied with the circle that I'm drawing. So I didn't draw them completely vertically. If I go like a straight line from this one down, I can already see that I angled a bit. That's okay. I went from small to bigger. As long as you see this and notice this. Okay, I didn't go straight down. Drew them a bit to the left. Do I need them completely straight? Then I will need to fix this one, draw it a bit more to the right. So these three look good. And then this one I started to draw it a bit more to the left. So try to critique your sketch, try to compare, try to look for things that you can fix. This one would need to be a bit more to the right, and then this one as well. And then I have it in a straight vertical line. Something you can challenge yourself. Okay, this one was angled, I'm going to draw it again. Try to get it straight. Or here, was it challenging to draw the shapes exactly the same size? Practice, practice, try it again. Here, was it challenging to draw it a bit bigger every time? Practice some more. So it's best to keep practicing these exercises or drawing lines and just random shapes regularly, or maybe simply as a warm-up when you haven't been drawing for a while. So we're going to draw another shape. But now we're going to start with a cross. So start by drawing a line with just a random length, like this. And now cross it exactly in the middle, or try to, with a horizontal line, and try to draw it the same length as this one. This can also be challenging, but a great exercise. And now we're going to check this, if this is the same length as this one, by drawing an outline. So outline this cross from exactly go over the outline like this, and then you can check if you're right. So if you have a square, then your lines are correct. But if you end up with a rectangle, then you will need to try again. So if I look at these smaller shapes, it looks correct. Let's do this again. So this, it looks like this needs to be a bit longer. So try to imagine, try to check if you're right by guessing, and then check like this. Outline the cross. Does it look like a square? Then you're good. But if I drew this, for example, this too high, and then you draw the outline, then you see that you have more of a rectangle. Then you can correct or try it again until you get it right. You can also draw a smaller one. Smaller ones are easy, so maybe it's best to start with the smaller ones. Well, I can already see, if I look here, or actually, no, it's pretty good. It looked like this was going to be more like a rectangle, but actually it's good. So if that happens, you have more rectangle. It looks more like a rectangle than a square, then you know on one side it's a bit wider or higher. So let's try this by rotating the cross. So we're going to draw a diagonal line like this. And these lines will need to be perpendicular, so it means if this is the horizontal line and this vertical, then you have a good cross. So my angle wasn't good, so I'm just fixing that. And I'm trying to see if I have the distance the same. You can also see, like, imagine a line like this. So that's what we're actually going to do now. We're going to draw the outline. You can imagine that at first, but now let's check by actually drawing the outline. So if you have a square, then you did it correctly. If not, try again. So let's do this again, but then a bit bigger. And instead of having my head straight like this, I tilt my head a bit so that I try to draw this line like straight. And then when I draw this line, you can also angle. So your head is like this, and then change your head like this so that you see this line straight. So I can see that mine can be a bit more like this, not straight enough. So that helps for me. Maybe that helps for you too. Now I'm going to check the distance. So if this is half of this, see if you have it. I think this needs to be a bit, yeah, I think that's good. Maybe this can be a bit higher, so you can imagine. So this one more like this, imagine lines. And now check if you're correct. So do this one just a bit further. Not really noticeable, but something, if you see that, you know, okay. I can correct that a bit. And then you can draw a smaller one. Actually, it's best to start with the smaller ones, but it's just best to practice all kinds of sizes and shapes, like this cross and then this cross. Now let's check this. Correct if you need to. This one can be a bit wider, like this. Okay, one more exercise, a bit more challenging. So we're going to do the same by crossing lines, but then we're going to draw some more lines. So let's start with a cross. Try to make it the same size. And now we're going to draw like a cross like this. So we're going to imagine half of this and half of this. We're going to draw a diagonal line and try to make sure that it's the same length. So this can be a bit more challenging. And then this side. So remember, tilt your head if it's easier for you to draw a straight line. So for this, I tilt my head this way, or instead of straight like this. And then for this line, I tilt my head to the left. Maybe that helps for you. So if you want to check if these distances are all right, we're going to draw an outline like this. Try to connect each corner. So I can already see, so here it's starting to look more like an oval than like a circle. So now I know that this would need to be a bit more like this. Now let's connect this. Now you see here it starts to look more like a circle. So check what you did wrong. Where isn't it round enough? Then you didn't draw that distance. So let's try this again. Try to imagine, like, if this is the middle, then this would be half. This would be half. Maybe this a bit. So if you draw these corners too far, then it will become more like a square. Let's check if I have this one correct. Check it for yourself too. So connect these. So this one looks correct at the first time. So remember, the more you will practice this, the better you will get at it. And with this exercise, you will practice drawing lines the same length, even though the lines are at different angles. So that can be challenging. And these exercises might seem simple and boring, but remember that it's very important to train your hand-eye coordination, and you're getting yourself ready to draw more complicated things. So let's try this again, a bit bigger. The bigger, the more challenging it is. So try to challenge yourself. Try not to become nervous and think, oh, I can't do this. These are just exercises and practices. You're practicing. So what can go wrong? Something can go wrong, but you will learn from it. Oh, this one needs to be a bit more angled. So now I'm looking at distance. This distance, this distance. this distance. Check if this one is good. Okay, now let's see. The bigger, the more challenging, but that's a great way. So if you never challenge yourself, if you stay in your comfort zone, like, oh, I'm worried I can't draw that, oh, I can't do that, I'm not going to try it, you will stay in the same stage you are at now. You're not going to improve yourself if you're not going to try it. So there's nothing wrong with that. If you don't want to learn more, if you don't want to improve, then just stay where you are. But if you want to improve and get better, and you notice that some of these exercises are challenging, then you know, okay, I'm going to practice some more. That's the only way I will improve. So you see that I've corrected some areas of this circle. It looked a bit wobbly here. So then you know, okay, this line needs to be a bit longer here, and that's what you will need to correct. Learn to see lines and shapes. Let's do this one more time. So the bigger the star and the bigger the circle, the more challenging it is. But I think this is a great exercise. Okay, let's connect this. So the moment of truth. See if you have a circle or an oval. Okay, this actually looks good. Let's go over it a bit. So you start light. I'm using a 2B, but you should use like an HB and use really light pressure when you're sketching, because after you drew the light sketch of the circle and you look at it, okay, that looks good, then you can go over it and define it a bit. I do think that if I look at this part looks, so it looks like a circle, but then this isn't exactly in the middle. So it looks like this half is a bit smaller than this half. Can you see that too? So then this part needs to be a bit higher. So let's correct that. And you can also measure like this. Remember, with a circle, you will need to have the same width, or the same length, the width and the height. So just a bit. I think that looks better. Now check your circle. Do you have a circle? Do you have the lines in the middle? Are you satisfied with what you drew? If not, try it again, practice some more. I'm sure you will be able to control your hand more and more you practice this, and I'm also pretty sure that you will be able to train your eye to see these distances and be able to get better and improve yourself that way. But you will need to do it yourself. So I'm drawing this, I'm showing you, but this is my hand that I trained after years. Now you will need to do the same if that's your goal, if you want to become better, if you want to improve yourself. Think about your goal, think about what you want. And if, for example, your goal is to draw accurate portraits, they can be very complicated to draw. And if you think these are just some boring exercises, I really promise you that this will help you later. So these are some examples of things to practice with, and it's best to go over this exercise or the other exercises as often as you need to until it becomes easy. If you notice you're having a hard time with some exercises or with just a certain shape or angle, then you can keep on practicing every once in a while. Or these are just some great exercises to warm up. For example, if you haven't been drawing for a while, warm up your hand, draw some circles, draw some lines, And if you think this is easy, then you know you're ready for the next.
Lately